The documented OLQs are 15, but there is the 16th quality that people are, the assessors particularly, are keen to see in you.
It was my mistake. I approached AFPA late. Most of them say that their interview went well just because they answered whatever was asked to them. But later on, I realized that it's more about how we think and what attitude we have within us.
I'm glad that this happened with you and we are talking about it. So a lot of viewers of this video would benefit out of this. When your number got called and you were recommended, how did you react?
I literally had tears in my eyes. That's all I can say.
Well, Rohan, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm great. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, Rohan. Rohan, it was wonderful to hear that you qualified from 2 AFSB.
Yes, sir.
In your second attempt. Yes, and so how does it feel now to be a recommended candidate?
It feels great, sir. This was a moment I was looking forward to a lot. So it feels great.
Okay. Great. So and you don't come from defense background. Your father and mother both are working for the private sector. So yes. How did you get this thought of joining the defense forces?
Right from childhood, I've been watching the Aero India show, and I stay in Yelahanka in Bangalore. So the Air Force station is 3-4 kilometers away from my house. So I think from 2007, I've been attending all air shows. And as a kid, I've just been fascinated by all these fighter jets and all that. But after I joined engineering and when I actually started studying technology, there the interest came in to study about these planes more. So I just used to come home and I used to search on YouTube and read whatever is available information. Initially, it just started off as a pastime, but then I realized that I was doing it every day. And so why not make a career out of it? So then around my second year of engineering, I started exploring the options and how to get into the Air Force and things like that. So that's how the interest started off, sir.
Great. Okay. So you have applied for the flying branch of the Air Force, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
And you already completed your what is that? Pilot battery test?
Yes, sir. CPSS. I've cleared it, sir.
Qualified. Great. See, this is a natural passion that you developed because you saw the air shows and then you started exploring because that's your natural choice, or natural interest. Many candidates falter here, and I keep telling them through every medium that there is a 16th OLQ which is not documented. You will not find it mentioned even in my book. I'm not sure. Okay. The documented OLQs are 15, but there is the 16th quality that people are, the assessors particularly, are keen to see in you, whether you have the natural urge and motivation to be in that service in that particular profession. Yes. Increasingly, what is happening is, a lot of unemployment, a whole lot of engineers in the country. So people approach SSB as if it's yet another government job, and they are half prepared. They may not be really very keen in joining the defense services, but then yes, it's a government job, class 1 guested officer's job, very good salary and all that. So somewhere that's not that's not going to really impress the assessors. So, and anybody who is genuinely interested, like you did in your first year, you read about fighter jets and a lot of stuff like that. So that's that inquisitiveness is very natural. So all those aspirants who are keen in joining the services, that keenness should come out of your desire to really be part of the service. Otherwise, you're not going to really impress the assessors. Well done, I must say. Very good. So now this was your second attempt. You went for the previous attempt. What happened in that? I mean, what was the line of preparations? And when you actually went to the SSB, what do you think went wrong? Would you please share all this?
Yes, sir, sure. So I feel that I was too overconfident in my preparation for my previous attempt, and because of which I was underconfident during my performance in the SSB per se. So I didn't have an in-depth knowledge about the procedure and things like that. I just seen a few YouTube videos and Some people I just told just be your natural self, and if you have it in you, you'll clear it and things like that. So I think I took it a little too lightly, thinking that it should be an easy cakewalk. Maybe that's what I thought. So I never got into the details of things. I never sat down and practiced how to write the stories and VAT and things like that. And even for GTO, because I've always been actively involved in sports, so I believe I could have done it without seeing any videos. So I feel that was a little bit of overconfidence in me, which later backfired. So after I went to the SSB and things came at me at rapid pace, and I was dumbfounded there. So I didn't know what to do, and the pace at which the VAT. So there, I never sat down and wrote VAT at home. So that really, I mean, hampered my performance, I believe. And because my psychological test didn't go well, then I was just constantly thinking about that on the rest of the days. So that invariably led to me not being able to perform my best in the other things too. So that's what I feel, sir.
Good. I don't know if you ever attended my webinar last year on 5 blunders people do in the SSB. So one of those blunders is this self-assessment, and you thought you're not done well in the psychology. Well, you may not have done well in psychology. That's okay. I mean, forget it, it's over now. So now you should focus on the next, what is going to come in front of you. So the moment you start overthinking, self-assessment, and when people do this, then they loosen up the guards and say, "Yeah, no, I'm not done well, so it's not going to fetch any results." And that's not necessarily true. You may not have done well in a particular technique, but if you're done well in the other two technique, you still stand a very good chance in the conference.
Yes.
So anyway, so that is one mistake. I mean, why
Also,
I'm talking about it. Yeah.
also, I feel that I approached it with a not so positive outlook because I had cleared the cutoff just by a bare margin. So a lot of people had told me that, even if you get recommended, there's no point, you won't come in the merit list and things like that. So I think that was also there in my mind while approaching the SSB. I'm like, no point, even if I get recommended, I'll anyway get merit out. I have one more attempt, and I was not fully confident and positive about my previous attempt. That's what I feel also hampered my performance. So after that, after I came back, I kind of introspected it. Initially, I just started seeing what actually happened in the SSB, and there were things like these. But later on, I realized that certain things I need to even change in my day-to-day life for me to become better as a more suitable person as per se. So there were a lot of minute changes I did in my daily routine. Uh, there were a lot of things which I thought I wanted to do, but I never implemented those in my daily life. I wanted to wake up early, and I wanted to have a disciplined life and things like that. These were always in my thoughts. I never actually sat down and put them into action. So I started doing a lot of such small things, started being more independent, and starting from cleaning my own room and various things like that. So this, I believe, brought in a lot of self-discipline in me. And so the reason I wanted to take mock interview from an ex-assessor was that so personal interview, I believe, is a thing which cannot be coached for per se. As in, so there were a lot of changes I brought in into my life, and I wanted to see if my way of thinking and my attitude there was a change in that. So I believe the personal interview was the best option through which I could get myself assessed in these particular things, because most of the people we talk to, aspirants who have attended the SSB, most of them say that their interview went well just because they answered whatever was asked to them. But later on, I realized that it's more about how we think and what attitude we have within us. And unless and until you change that, I don't think your interview can improve your as a person and indirectly your interview too. So I wanted to get a feedback from an experienced assessor, and that's the reason I approached AFPA. And I got interviewed by Air Cmde Gosewade sir, and he gave me a positive feedback. He did mention a few negatives too, and he overall he gave me a positive feedback, and I believe that improved my confidence a lot. And I approached the SSB in a more positive and confident manner. That's about it, sir.
Great. I don't know if you attended my webinar last year where I talked about the 5 blunders people do. And, one of those blunders is this self-assessment during the SSB. You know, if you're not done well in a particular test within a technique, there are a lot of candidates, many candidates I've seen that, they go into a shell and they start giving up, and, their performance graph drastically comes down. So there's no need to worry. I always say that, you focus on your effort and you continue to let them do the assessment. Why are you assessing yourself? Right. So this is one mistake that a lot of them do, and I'm glad that this happened with you and we are talking about it. So a lot of viewers of this video would benefit out of this. First of all, it is not important that you should have done well in all the 3 techniques to be recommended. So even if you're not done well in a particular test or a technique, just forget it and bounce back in the next 2. Okay, that will do a lot of good, and you stand a great chance of still making it in the conference, right? So so basically, what did you do? The very important thing that everybody should practice this. There are guys who, within a short span of 1 year, they give 10 attempts, 12 attempts, they just come back mechanically without sitting and analyzing as to where they went wrong and bringing about appropriate changes in your own way of thinking, in your own way of living, which suits the defense environment, and obviously then it will suit the assessors, right? That's one very, very good thing that you did. And that's what everybody should do, rather than going mechanically and coming back. Just take a break, sit down and analyze and see for yourself as to where do you fit in and what changes you need to bring about. That's wonderful. See, ultimately what you took a interview session online with Air Cmde Gosewade, and he gave you the positive feedback, and he also told you about where things perhaps not in place, and so you worked on it. So it is not that this one session is going to really change you topsy-turvy or change your personality. It helps you. For that matter, why that one session? Even when people come to AFPA for 14 days, that's what I tell them on the day 1. See, this is a platform where we can't change your personality. You need to change your personality. So you need to know where you are not right and what you need to do right, so that you get success in life. And some of them, they do very fast because they have it in them. It is just that they refine themselves to project themselves correctly to the assessor, properly to the assessor. And some who lack, they take a little more time to practice the new ways of life or whatever, and then they correct themselves. That's wonderful. So tell me, AFPA gives an opportunity. There are 3 online assessors, one from the Army, one from the Navy, one from the Air Force. What must have prompted you to choose Air Commodore Gosewade over the other 2?
So, sir, I was going to SSB in 2FSB myself, and I read the description of Goswade, sir, and it said that he was the ex-president of the board. So that was sufficient enough for me to take his, get a mock interview from him, sir.
Okay. And you must have also thought that because you're a diehard Air Force candidate, so it is better to take the interview from Air Force assessor. But that's a myth. It is not like that, because all 3 service the assessors are trained together, and the approach is exactly the same in all the 3 services, and the Coast Guard also. They are also trained with us only, and hence there is absolutely no difference as far as the process is concerned. Well, since Air Cmde Gosewade has been a pilot himself, and he has commanded units, so he would have more insight into what is the requirement, that skills, the skill specific requirements of the Airforce better and his understanding would be better. That's by far the difference. That's it. That's wonderful. So, what did you do after he told you as to where you need to improve? What exactly did you do thereafter?
Sir, actually, I got the interview done only 4 days before my SSB. It was my mistake. I approached AFPA late. So what actually happened was my interview was scheduled. I mean, my SSB was scheduled on 21st of June, and on around May third week, I got my call up for Navy also. So the SSB date for Navy was on June 18th. So the dates were clashing, and I wrote a mail to 2FSB asking if the date could be changed. So they got back to me in the last week of May saying the my SSB had been preponed to June 7th. So I did not have much time, and I contacted AFPA I think on 1st of June, and they got back to me in like 2 days, and so there was not much time for me to apply that, but overall, I believe it just boosted my confidence a lot, sir, and I think that matters a lot. The mindset you approach SSB with, if you're positive and confident, I believe it makes a huge difference. So
yes. Basically, you took a reality check. You already had introspected, worked on it, and you just wanted to take a check whether you fit into that scheme or not. And when you once you hear that you're all right from the assessor, that boosts your confidence a lot. That's okay. That's wonderful. That's one of the greatest purposes that we started this online assessment program, and we were the first one to do that in the country. Yeah.
particularly with the feedback he gave me. So when I was mentioning about my negatives, I was slightly abstract while mentioning about it, kind of hesitant per se. So he told me that it's perfectly normal to have flaws and you can talk about them, and that is something which I actually implemented my SSB2. So I wasn't so confident in admitting to my flaws, so I wasn't open in speaking about them. But after he told me that, that was something I actually implemented in the SSB2. So this was one thing I can recall.
A very, very important point you are making, Rohan. See, ultimately we're all human beings. And if we were perfect, we would have been God, right? None of us are perfect. So we do have our flaws. Why is it then important about knowing your flaws is as long as you have a good insight about your flaws, that is the start point for change. See, any person who understands that this is where I am weak and I need to improve this, the change will happen. So whether the candidate has sufficient insight about himself, what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, so when he knows these are my strengths, he will capitalize on those strengths when he's facing a situation. When he knows that these are my weaknesses, then he will downplay his weaknesses and perhaps use his strengths better. So that insight is very important. So as long as you have the insight, it's very good. I mean, there's nothing wrong about talking about flaws. We all have flaws. That's wonderful. Tell me, you were also telling me that you had never practiced for psych, and it was all happening so fast, rapid, and you're not able to respond. So what did you do for that?
I actually sat down and I wrote this time with the timer on, and this was I used to watch AFPA YouTube videos. The practice set along with the timing. So here I didn't have to keep a separate timer on and things like that. So I followed the YouTube video and followed the timings too. So there were I think 4 or 5 practice sets for VAT and SRT I practiced. Mainly I believe VAT is something which can be improved. I may be wrong, but this is my belief, sir. It can be improved with practice because it opens up your mind to new possibilities. So it allows you the freedom to think. The more you practice, that is something which helped me a lot. So by practicing, I opened up my mind much more, and ideas started flowing in much quicker. So that was the thing I did, particularly for psych, sir.
See, this is what I tell all the students who come to AFPA and otherwise also in the media. See, you need to practice because what happens, your TAT, for example, okay? A lot of people struggle to write stories on TAT. Once you understood the principles behind it, then you need to sit down and perhaps write 4, 5 stories, different stories for the same image. So by doing that, and when you're practicing, take your time and think. No problem. Don't even put the timer on. Think and write. when you're practicing, when you're learning. It is not that, you all are the age group of say 23, 25, you have had enough experience in life. You have had enough exposure in life. You have been to college, you have been to, school, you have, traveled around, you have seen a lot of stuff already. But a lot of these exposures and experiences are buried deep inside your memory. And when you don't practice, you suddenly see it, you can't connect and it doesn't come out so spontaneously. So when you sit, scratch your head and write different stories, multiple stories for the same image, you are basically pulling it out of your memory, your exposure, experience. And thereafter, it becomes very fresh in your mind when you're going for the SSB. So when you go and see an image, there are so many things in your head already because of your practice, and you'll be able to connect. Same is the case for VAT, right? VAT, as such, the psychometric words are limited. And if you practice, for every word you write 4 or 5 different sentences and you see whether it fits into the principles taught. You followed my book, so it's all very clearly explained in my book. So once you practice, those sentences will pop up very, very spontaneously during the actual SSB, and they'll be right sentences because you practiced and you thought and wrote while practicing. Gave it more time and wrote. And as you proceed in your preparations, at some stage you should say, now I'm going to put the timer on and I'm going to do it. Okay, then you see how quickly things fall in place. It's not rocket science. But yes, your speed increases, you'll be able to give more responses in the VAT and SRT. You'll be able to write meaningful stories and complete the story within the time limit, that's 4 minutes. So all that happens. So practice definitely helps. Sorry, fair enough. So you never got this thought of coming to AFPA to learn personally?
No, sir. Maybe if I got recommended even in this attempt, then I would have seen it more as something to do with my personality, and then maybe I would have given it a thought to actually attend the center. But according to me, what training institutes for SSB do is I don't think they can help you much with the person you are, but rather how to put it across efficiently. And this is something I believed I lacked in my first attempt too. I just thought that I had it in me, and I didn't know how to put myself across in the right manner. So that was something I worked on this time, and there are certain do's and don'ts in every test per se in the SSB, and knowing those on how to approach them, they certainly do help. And I believe coaching institutes play that important role of telling you how to put yourself, whatever you are, put it 100% across the table. So maybe if I had not got recommended in this time, maybe I would have thought about coming there, but that's how it's.
That's exactly what we do differently in AFPA, right? It helps you in 2 levels. The one that you described, that they'll tell you how to put across what you are actually, and the intense assessment process that we follow, that opens you up and tells you where exactly you need to improve in terms of your behavior, your attitude, and your approach. So that's also the reason we always tell the students that keep sufficient time in hand. Don't just come to AFPA and there are no magic pills that are distributed here that you go back and you get recommended. You need to have time to work on your weak areas, and see, it's all basically what is it? It's all habit formation, right? You have a certain way of thinking. Basically, it become your habit over your so many years. So now, when the assessors here, sit and counsel you individually, spend a lot of time with you and tell you, and also tell you how you need to look, how you need to approach this, how you need to look at life, or how do you need to look at this particular situation. So you need time to bring those behavioral modifications in you, so that it becomes part of you for the rest of your life. That's exactly what we do here. I mean, that's the reason perhaps that AFPA is able to convert a lot of students. And then it's also my firm belief and my philosophy on which I built this institution. The philosophy is that I would not like to believe that there is somebody who doesn't have it in him. You know, we can't be so bad. I mean, nobody is so bad. You know, it is just that, you know, somebody requires a little bit of direction and a little bit of self-work, having got the direction. And we are, I mean, the level at which we select candidates, we are not looking for Einsteins. We are looking for somebody who is less than average, who can become at least average after the training. So I would not like to believe that there can be somebody who is so bad that he cannot just you know, do it. So that's my philosophy, and that's how we approach this whole program here. Well, Rohan, that was wonderful talking. May you, you know, serve the nation with pride and, you know, don that uniform and start flying fighter jets, which you always wanted to do. We wish you all the very best for that also. And so finally, when your number got called and you were recommended, how did you react?
I literally had tears in my eyes. That's all I can say. Tears of happiness.
Great.
So
And how did you
it took
break
in a while
this?
to sink in. It actually took in a while to sink in because in AFSB, as soon as you're recommended, you're asked to get your documents and there's a document filling for formality and things like that. That takes around 4 hours. And the very next day, I had my CPSS. So because I want to fly so passionately, that was also something very important to me. And after I cleared my CPSS, then it kind of started getting into me that I've got it. So even now it's not 100% until I clear my medicals. So maybe even after I clear my medicals, it'll sink in more that time.
So how when you broke this news to your parents, how did they react to this?
They're very happy, sir. They've been appreciating me. They've not seen me work out for anything else in my life apart from this SSB and my AFCAT and things like that. The other things they used to tell me to study my exams and things like that. Why are you wasting so much time in study and things like that? This is something they never told me, and they told me that they're proud of what I did. So that's about it, sir.
So you finished your graduation in 2020, I suppose.
Yes, 2020.
And you're already working somewhere. You're working for TCS.
No, sir. SLK software.
Okay. Okay. So well, I mean, you have a plan B in place, and that's one thing that everybody should try and do. That don't be sitting at home. It really doesn't require so much of you know, time to prepare for the SSB or for even for the AFCAT. And, you know, so you must be productive. You know, once you finish your graduation, you know, your parents look forward to you getting a job, working independent. You must do that, and then devote some extra time, pull out some time out of your schedule, and, you know, start working towards your primary aim. That's the right approach to do in life. Great, wonderful talking to you, Rohan, and we are really very proud of you. And you made it in the end, and God bless you well. Thank you so much.